Ray-Ban Meta glasses come with open-ear audio, so you can listen to your favorite music without blocking out the world around you.
Hey Meta, play Gorgeous.
Here's Gorgeous by Doja Cat.
You can also ask Meta AI questions.
Hey Meta, when's Doja Cat's next concert?
Doja Cat is playing at the Los Angeles Theater next Tuesday.
Sweet.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, available at Ray-Ban stores and other authorized retailers.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the five of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary listeners, heroes and heroines, crooks and crookians, the traveling Wilburys, the audio performance you are about to enjoy discusses casinos and gambling. We do not recommend gambling with money you cannot afford to lose or that is needed to pay bills. If you have a gambling problem, contact your problem gambling hotline. If you do not know how to contact your problem gambling hotline, send an email to help@casinocombat.com. We will find that number for you and provide it to you. Our hosts' past performances are not indicative of anyone's future results, including his own. All materials presented here are based on actual facts. Names and dates are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Some events, unrelated to outcomes, may be omitted in the interest of brevity and clarity. The contents, spelled with a K, of course, of this episode are the property of Volcanic Dingo LLC. All rights are reserved. It's me, it's TRG, the Ramblin' Gambler. I am just trying to make a living and doing the best I can.
Lyrics, dude. Recite him some lyrics.
I've been stuck in airports, terrorized, sent to meetings, hypnotized, overexposed, commercialized. Handle me with care. Welcome to episode 149 of our Casino Combat podcast, and that is actually something I rarely have to worry about. I am blessed. I am fortunate. That's the word. I am absolutely fortunate because all of you are very, very good to me. You do a great job of taking care of me and making sure I know what I need to know and do what I need to do and have the backing and support to do all of that. And a wonderful illustration is here for us today in episode 148. I just got back from the Premier Casino hosting Dice Cruise number 4. I had a great time, and we did a Zoom call afterwards to do a debrief on that, to answer questions, to talk about things and parameters, to get input from other members of the Excelsior Brigade and the Inner Circle and the squad about the things that they would like to know. And I think we got some great questions, and I think as a result we got some great answers, not just from me, but from other people who also have knowledge and information about cruises and cruising and the things that go into doing that as part of a casino enhanced lifestyle. So we're going to do that in just a second. That is the whole battle plan. Inner Circle member, Virginia casino player Doug is going to take over things and run that session in the virtual VIP lounge. That's all we're going to do today. And I think I said this during the session, but I'm not sure that I did, so I want to say it here. And I want to make sure that we all kind of understand this. We were given, as a squad, an incredible gift, an incredible opportunity. You see, when Premier Casino Hosting came and asked me to be involved with them, they didn't want me. Let's be really, really clear about that. They did not want the guy behind the TRG voice, the TRG character. They really didn't. They wanted us. They wanted the squad. And they wanted to give us the opportunity to be a squad anywhere we would like to be. So as always, I try to make this always about us as much as I possibly can. I appreciate being the voice heard most often, and I also appreciate being the not being the only voice you get to hear. I appreciate Nakatomi Tony, Equine Ensign, East Coast Emissary, Virginia Casino Player Doug, all of you that have given your voice, your thoughts, your ideas to this podcast. And it is very much all of us that Premier Casino Hosting wanted to be involved with. And that means that we have the opportunity to have a dice cruise if we want one. We have the opportunity to have a card cruise because we are all about playing blackjack, a lot of us. We have the opportunity to do that. We have the opportunity to have events in casinos, on ships, wherever we would like to do it. And as such, if you have things you think we should do, tell me. Email me, trg@casinocombat.com, spell combat with a K. If you've got my number, shoot me a text, message us on Facebook. If there are things you think the squad should do, tell me and we will do our best to do them. This is a listener-driven podcast. This is a squad-driven podcast. The debriefing sessions like the ones you're about to hear happen because members of the squad said they wanted them to happen. And I'm so glad they did because the content is absolutely excellent because the questions are excellent. And I think you're going to enjoy hearing those. So let's adjourn right now to the virtual VIP lounge and let VCPD take over the proceedings.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Welcome to the most must-listen-to segment in casino podcasting, the Virtual VIP Lounge. Our lounge is open. We have the best virtual everything, virtually all the time. The best virtual food and drink served in any virtual VIP lounge, anywhere on the interwebs. As always, if you can, press pause, pour yourself something, fix a plate, and settle in. We have a true virtual VIP lounge this episode. TRG, please tell us about the story the segment of this story that gets us to the segment.
All right. Thank you, VCPD. Thank you, everybody. This really is truly squad driven. This is something that you folks were kind enough to say you wanted to do. And I think it's tremendously cool that we get to do this. There are several brands doing air quotes, dice cruises. And these are cruises that gather a large number of very serious dice players, focused craps players onto ships with multiple or high limit craps tables. People have fun, they hang out, they attempt to win money. And Premier Casino Hosting that I've been working with, that some of you have been working with, has done 4 dice cruises to date. And I've been fortunate to attend the second and the third in the past. And I just finished Dice Cruise 4. And it's very much starting to feel like hanging out with longtime friends in one of our favorite clubhouses. Because while it's been different ships every time, the ships are fairly similar because we have to get to a certain size in order to have 2 craps tables. So we kind of know each other a little bit. We kind of know how the process goes. And it's been a tremendous amount of fun. It's been a really, really good time. It's been great to get to know all those people. As we get into this evening, let me make sure that those who are listening when we publish this know who's here tonight. We have Casino Combat Chef, who's an Excelsior Brigade member. We have Equine Ensign, Inner Circle member and ninth to the ring. We have Dr. ECE, PhD, fourth to the ring and a member of the Inner Circle. The lovely Atlantic City Empress is with us as well. And Midnight Diver, who was on the cruise with me. So he's going to make sure that I don't see anything that isn't as accurate as possible. We're going to get a live fact check here. And of course, we have VCPD, Defender of the Commonwealth, eighth to the ring, acting as our host and moderator here. We are all getting better at this. We actually planned this before I left instead of the day before I got back. So maybe we're slowing a few things down. There is still a lot going on. VCPD, thank you again for being willing to be the master of ceremonies this evening. I am here to answer almost anything and everything. And I've already made some notes, and unless you all walk out the door after we finish the recording part, there's going to be an After Dark segment because I have a couple things for the group that probably should not be public. So there we go.
Fantastic. All right. Tell us about this dice cruise and how it's different from a regular cruise.
All right. So excellent question. Excellent question. I was just on a cruise in September. Day at sea, so the craps tables were open the whole time. 2 days in Bermuda, so the craps tables opened around 9 o'clock. Day at sea, so the tables were open the whole way back. We aggressively tried to play craps. We probably played about 15 minutes of craps in that amount of time. And that's where the difference to me lies, or one of the differences. I've probably got a couple here. On that cruise, we would wait and see people starting to play, and then we'd go join them. And then a few minutes later, they'd be done. I mean, there's no better illustration of that than the fact that at one point, we just played some blackjack on that cruise in September. We're having a drink, and this other couple sits down and is talking to us, and they're like, oh, the craps tables are empty. And we were like, yeah, well, we were hoping. And they're like, oh, we love playing craps. We love playing craps. And we're like, well, great, let's go play some craps. And so they make a pass line bet, and they roll the dice, and the point is 5. And we make our bets. We bet 3 or 4 place numbers, and they roll and hit one of our numbers, and roll and don't hit one of our numbers, and roll and 7 out. And it's, hey, it was good meeting you. Nice to play with you. They're done. One bet, $10. They're done. They're out of the way. That was that whole non-dice cruise. By comparison, this cruise, the casino staff made an effort to open the tables as early as possible. At least one craps table was almost always one of the first tables open, and those craps tables were often packed the entire time. The problem was not finding people that wanted to play. The problem, if that you want to call it a problem, was finding a spot at 2 full craps tables. And that's a very different thing. Some of the other differences, I guess I'm thinking of a couple as we go along. So just demand for craps and the ability to play craps with others if you didn't want to just sit there and throw the dice. Certainly the thing that stood out a lot. The other thing is kind of because it's a dice cruise and somewhat just because it's a very well-organized cruise of people who consistently cruise with the same hosting company. We get on the cruise, the ship takes off, and we have a private reception with heavy appetizers and cocktails and waiters and waitresses and all of the casino staff. All the casino, maybe not all, but several of the casino hosts, the casino manager, a variety of dignitaries and functionaries from the casino there to greet us, there to answer our questions, there to hand out some bonus casino status to move everybody to prime. All of that is set up because we're there as a group. The other benefit from coming with the group is that the normal table limits for the craps table was $5 to $500. I think I got that right. No, $10 to jump in if you remember.
Yeah, I believe it was $10 to $500 and then $25 to $1,000.
There we go. Exactly. Thank you. So you could there at this meeting declare that instead of the smaller limits, you are going to take the larger limits of 25 to 1,000. And you could do that once on that first night. And then that's where you were either for the rest of the cruise or until you said no mas. And if you said no mas and tapped out and went down to the lower limits, you had to stay at the lower limits. You couldn't go back and forth, but they were willing to change the limits and increase them. And there were people there that wanted to play at that larger level all the time. In fact, I saw an interesting thing the first night. We were playing blackjack with one of them, and he bet more than $500. He bet more than the stated table maximum at the table. And the dealer kind of looked at him, and he goes, "Oh, no. I'm here with the craps group, and I already signed up. I'm allowed to play all the way to 1,000." And the pit boss comes over and goes, "I think that's right. I'm going to let you do it once or twice while I call and verify, but I think you're right. I think that applies to all the games you play, not just craps." And after a quick phone call, it was verified that, yes, he could have gone to a unlimited Texas Hold'em table or a roulette table and had those same limits applied to him if he wanted to. So he had raised effectively his maximum. The other, two more, just going to do two more. Another big thing that's different is these are players who have practiced, who have tables, who have practice rigs, and who have practiced and practiced and practiced. They will touch the top of a table and know that on this type of table with this type of surface, they need to change their grip or their stance or their landing zone. They're keeping records often of every throw. Someone in the group is taking records almost all the time. And if one person steps out of that role, somebody else steps in. They're tracking who is throwing what and how and when. Not always, and I've got some stories about that I'm sure we'll hear, but a bad roll was 12 or 13 or 14.
Wow.
The average is less than 7. When I play locally, I'm expecting if I can make a little money in the first 4 or 5, that's all I'm really expecting. These folks expect long rolls, often get long rolls, and are expert at the game in so many ways, which brings me to my last observation about what is so different than a dice cruise. On a dice cruise, on a regular cruise, the dealers and the pit bosses are the experts at the game. They are used to being at the experts at the game, and no one is going to challenge them on their expertise. On a dice cruise, the Premier Casino hosting hosts are the experts. When Don Woods starts making bets and explaining how he should be paid and how they should be paid on what he has wagered, he is giving a master's level class in how to deal craps. And they very quickly decided they were going to listen to him and learn. And I'm very empathetic because imagine that first cruise I told you about that wasn't a dice cruise, where there's 5 bets on the table for 10 minutes, and then it's done. And the dealers are back to standing there with their arms folded. On this table, the table is full. There are 8, and in some places 9 people on each side. And they are all making 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or more bets. They are all betting for the dealers in different ways. Some are pushing their bets up. Some are taking their bets down. Some of them are so expert that they know if this happens and they drop $5, then this and this and this can happen. And these dealers have no clue. They have no exposure, particularly early in the cruise, to that level of skill and that skill of player. So very quickly, if several members of the group had proven their accuracy and the dealers would do something, they'd go, no, you actually owe him 45 and then put 6 over there, and they would just do it. They just assumed that the expertise was accurate, and it just happened. And that's traveling with knowledgeable players and skilled players, and that's being able to overwhelm and take over a table.
Yeah, you put 18 people at a table, that's really going to overwhelm everybody. I was going to ask you about that. How many people are in the group that goes on the dice cruise?
There were almost 70 people.
So how do they decide who gets to play, and is there a schedule of some sort, or is it just random?
Well, first of all, 70 people, 40 cabins, probably only a third to a half of those were craps players. And there's a core group that often kind of communicates amongst themselves because they've been doing this longer than PCH has been in business. They knew each other prior. They played together prior before they cruised together. So it is just first come, first serve within the group. But a table will also often look full to a non-group member, but it's really not full, and there'll be plenty of room for you if you're part of the group. Elbows that are wide will become narrow. People that are playing 2 spots will play as a team and just stack their money together and work it out amongst themselves to make more space. These folks have been very accommodating, very opening and welcoming, very willing to share their knowledge, very willing to recognize that I'm primarily a blackjack player and a gambling philosopher who's just learning. So where possible, and not just for me, for everybody that's somewhat new to the group, they went out of their way to make room, to let people in, to find a way to work things out. It's also not uncommon to have people 2 and 3 deep and relaying their bets in when things get really hot and really busy. But I also will say, I did start to learn the patterns. I started to learn that table 1 opens around noon. And this group of people is probably going to be not hanging out at the pool. That's a good time to get on the table with them. Then they would often take a break and go to lunch. And then they'd come back around 3 or 4 because that's when the other table opened. And so I'd be hanging around sometimes early, get a session in with them. And then when they went to go grab lunch, I'd maybe go grab a little lunch or a little pool time or time with my wife, and then try to be back around the time the next table opened to get another session in with them.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes. Now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox. Clean feels good.
I don't want to hog the whole thing. Does anybody else have any questions about the Dice Cruise or? Well, how about the comps and free bets, free play, any special things like that for the group?
Your comps, your free bets when you get on board are based on your relationship with Royal as an individual. And likewise, your free play, as you get ready to get off the boat, you should always check your free play. Likewise, that's based on what your play has been. So not anything special in that regard. And that does seem to really vary from ship to ship. I played at a higher level this time than I did in September, both unit size and amount of time. My free play when I left was a teeny tiny fraction of what I got on the other ship. I still don't understand how Royal does that. But benefits of being with the group. by observation, Premier Casino Hosting tries their best to find a way to get anybody on the ship that wants to be on the ship and get them on the ship in a comped fashion. Then, and again, I can't speak to everything for everyone, but every single PCH cruise I've been on, chocolate-covered strawberries have arrived as a gift from the casino, either right before I got on board or toward the end of the evening as a treat the first day that I was on board. I've never had that happen if I was not with a Premier Casino Hosting group. We have a reception the day we arrive. We have an exit reception the day we leave. Those are all catered at a high level. Those are all drinks poured, kind of regardless of drink package, regardless of what you've done. That's all compliments of the relationship between Premier Casino Hosting and the casino and the brand. And at the same time, there's a lot of value on being with a group. Oh, private slot tournament. I should have brought that one up right away. Every time we cruise with Premier Casino Hosting, we have a private slot tournament. They put up the money. It's only open to members of the group. It's a standard slot tournament. Poke the button for 2 minutes, and the person with the most points in your round goes into the final round. They also fund the prizes, $200 for first place, $100 for second place. And it is just a fun group activity, a fun thing for everybody to get together and do one morning during a day at sea. But what I was going to say, my original thought was the value of like wearing the lanyard that they give out that says Premier Casino Hosting on the lanyard, wearing that lanyard to carry your Sea Pass card also then communicates to the casino and the staff that you met the first day that you're part of the group. So they know you have a relationship that is bigger than just being a guest. And once again, they try to go out of their way for you. They try to recognize that you're part of this group. This group is a higher casino skilled group, and they try to make sure that if there are issues, challenges, questions, needs, that those things get taken care of without having to say, hey, Don, hey, Michael, can you help out with this? So anything I missed? Midnight Diver?
Quick question.
Oh, sure.
What do you think? How did the ship do with these skilled dice throwers? Do you think they got clobbered, or do you think they did all right? Will I say don't invite them back? They kicked our butt, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I don't think there is any chance that Royal Caribbean is going to say, no, we don't want to do this anymore. And here's why. The craps play is a very small part of the overall relationship that exists between the group and the brand and the group and the casino. I saw situation after situation, and this is not to name names. This is not to point fingers. This is just human nature. I saw situation after situation where somebody'd go on a great run on the table, and then the partner would come over and there'd be a conversation, and a lot of the money won would change hands and then go into the slot machines because they were there as a couple. And yeah, he's playing craps, but that means he's not taking her to a show right now. Maybe they're going to a show, have been to a show, are going to dinner, have been to dinner, and going to a dance party, but she ran out of money. And now money that was just won on craps is going over to the slot machine. Sometimes people couldn't get on a craps table, so they'd come over and they'd play blackjack. They are not skilled. This isn't true of everyone, obviously, but whether it was that, whether it was Texas Hold'em, whether it was roulette, that they'd go do other things and gamble in other ways. They're also buying Wi-Fi and excursions and high-end dining packages and drink packages and jewelry and stuff in the duty-free store. And all of that is money that's coming back into the brand, that if so-and-so and so-and-so, if these 3 or 4 guys don't go, then another bunch of people aren't going to go, and those people aren't going to buy Wi-Fi because they're not going to be there. They're not going to do all these ancillary things. The other thing that I would observe that is true is shooters being really skilled does not always translate to everyone in the group winning. There were plenty of people, I saw plenty of amazing rolls. I was on the table when someone threw 32 times. They threw the all tall small, even though the wager didn't exist. They threw so many 8s that my little tiny $12 8 was pressed all the way up above $60. But there were only 12 people on that table when it started. We cleaned the table out. We cleaned out the chips, and they had to bring more chips. And they started coloring it up in the middle of the roll because they were running out of the small chips, and they needed to hand out big chips. There was another great roll, much longer than that. Happened about 1 o'clock in the morning on the second night. Almost no one was there. Handful of people were still up that late to be on the craps table at that time. So amazing skill and the ability to do very well doesn't necessarily translate to the house losing money on the group as a whole, nor do I think it translates to the brand losing money on the passengers as a whole. And the other thing that I want to be very careful to admit here, the day after I watched that 32 hand toss, that 32 toss hand, I got on that $25 table, that big boy table at 4 o'clock. And Mrs. TRG had some spot stuff she was going to do. And I'm on the big boy table, and I am with some very skilled players, some players I have watched do amazing things. And I'd made money yesterday, and I'd made money the day before, and I was starting to get dialed in, and I'm feeling good. And 0.7 out. That's okay. That's okay. You'll get him next time. No big deal. No big deal. Next shooter. Well, this guy's always good. This guy's amazing. 12, 11, 3, out.
Yeah.
No money for me. Okay, but that's fine. I still got money left over, and I was planning on this. So now, instead of 1 to 10 inside, I'm going to be 220 inside. I was going to hit once. This guy's amazing. I've seen this guy do amazing things for 3 cruises. This is going to be excellent. So I just 110, heck, 220 inside. And I'll hit once, and I'll go down to 110, and I'll hit once, and I'll go down to 66, and I'll have covered a bunch of this. I'll have won this money back. 0.7 out. Lost a ton of money. 4 people in a row. 4 people that have done great things in my experience. But on that day, because some butterfly over Nova Scotia waved its wings, none of them could do anything. And the house did just fine on that one.
Hey, TRG.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a couple questions, but is it cool if I go now, or
sure? Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So I was thinking, you've talked about how you and Mrs. TRG share a card, like a player's card at some casinos.
Right.
Is that good? Is that possible on the cruise to maximize everything? Because you were talking about, let's say one person was at craps shooting, and then he's just handing money over, so it goes dumped back into a slot machine. Because like in my situation, if I'm playing blackjack, I've talked to you before about my wife will just show up, and it's like, here's some money, and or she'll come back and give me some money, she'll catch a major on it. So is that something that maybe is doable Or is it better for your comps if you have two people playing on two cards that you can kind of add together, even though it's the same thing?
So the answer is yes and no. The answer is slots, it's easy to pile it all on one card, not a big deal for the most part. Tables, at blackjack, it's not going to happen. It's a one-on-one thing. Craps, they'd have honestly been happier if we had just put all the money on one card and one set of spots and not played separately.
Gotcha.
But we did play separately because here's why. Who has points with Royal matters financially in a lot of different ways. Couple of illustrations, and I'm sure I won't land them all, and maybe some other people have some things to throw in. But the first thing is we want both of us to get to prime every year. That's the second tier. That's pretty reachable. It's not a big stretch, because when you get to that tier, then all of your beverages, and please don't make this about the alcohol. I mean, it's always about the alcohol, but it's not about the alcohol. It's about a lot more than that. If you're both at prime, you both get all your beverages free in the casino, at the casino bar, if the slot machines are on. That means, for instance, at Coco Cay, the private island, where the casino's open the whole time, on the way to the beach, on the way to the island, you can stop by and you can get 2 waters, you can get 4 waters, and you don't have to buy those waters, and you don't have to buy a per day package to get those. Ditto espresso, ditto soda, ditto juice. Those things are all available to anyone on the cruise, in Windjammer, in main dining, in the cafe. If you want a glass of water, you've got a pretty easy access to a glass of water. If you want a bottle of water without paying, either you bought it before you got on the ship or you're buying it on the ship. Add in the cocktails, and having both members of the party be at prime has been a big money saver for us. The other thing that we've been able to do once, and we know a variety of people that have done more than once, is we've had the conversation where I have an offer for a comp sale, Ocean View. And just like Caesars will upgrade your room if you're bringing someone with high Caesars status, Royal Caribbean will upgrade you if they can, if you're bringing 2 people with Casino Royale status. So our Ocean View room became, on Mariner of the Seas, an extra large Ocean View balcony, because they're looking at both of our action. And you can make the argument, and maybe it's true, that if all that action was on one card, the offer would have been that room to begin with. But here's another cool use of that. In February, we're taking one of my wife's good girlfriends that she's known for years in teaching and her husband on a cruise. We both had offers for the same ship on the same day. Mrs. and her girlfriend in her offer, the husband and myself in my offer. And then when we get on the ship, we go to guest services and change where people are, and no one cares. If Mrs. doesn't have an offer because Mrs. didn't have action, we can't do things like that. So we're seeing more advantage to having our play spread out than we are in concentrating it, at least on Royal.
Awesome. That's what I was just wondering. And then also, earlier you were talking about anytime you knew, like lunchtime, we're going to go play. We're going to go play, at 2:30, or the group meets at 5. How did you plan a bankroll if you've just pretty much, like, from what your normal play is, you don't get to just, jump off the boat and get in the water once you hit your number, and I know you can go back to the room and there's tons of other stuff, but it sounds like you're playing almost 3 or 5x more than normal each day.
So first of all, excellent, excellent. Thank you. I mean, this is why I think these sessions have value not only to all of us that are here in the session, but then as content to everybody that's going to listen to this over the next amount of time this content remains available. It's a great question. It's a great thing that has to be managed and dealt with. And I'm sure there are 10 right ways to do this. However, there are ATMs on the ship in the casino. They're just like the ATMs in the casino at every land-based casino I've ever been to, with the same limits. So if, like when I go to Atlantic City, I went to Atlantic City for 12 days. I didn't carry all the money for all 12 days to Atlantic City. I carried enough for a few days. And I assumed that if things went really well, I may never need to touch any more money than that. But I also assumed that if things went horrible day 1 and day 3, then on day 3, I was going to have to go and pull some money down because I didn't want to carry it and I didn't want to risk it being stolen. That if that happened, I have several bank accounts set up specifically so that even with limits on ATMs, I can pull out a sizable amount of money relative to my bankroll, relative to my buy-ins, and continue to play. And that's somewhat been trial and error. Over the years, I've just developed a sense of how much to take, how much not to take. The other part of reaching that prime status with Royal is it does let you roll money through the process in a very useful way. I always undercarry cash and leave cash in checking accounts not necessarily connected at the ATM because I want to take money on the ship. Because if you're prime, there's no 5% fee. It's just an expense on your room. Then that expense, in my case, on the room is backed by an MGM credit card that gets me MGM tier points and MGM free slot play. So I want, in some cases, there's been a situation or two where we won at the beginning. And then I went, oh, what the heck? I'm still taking another X thousand out because I was prepared to take it if I needed to. It won't put me above the $10,000 limit for bringing money back into the United States. And I'll immediately pay the MGM card with the $2,000 that I put in the bank before I left. So I'm really just washing the points through, laundering the points through the Casino Royale and Royal Caribbean brand. So I tend to, on Royal in particular, take a little less, take enough for the first day. If by the second or third day I need to pull cash, it's fine. The limits there allow me to take are bigger than the limits I'd ever be willing to take. So that's not an issue. So it is a part of it. It is a part of the process. It is a thing to be managed, but there are plenty of tools for managing it. And that is a great question.
Man, I hate to jump right in, but I've got one more to go with that since you just said that.
Sure.
Some of, like, we'll just say WinStar in Oklahoma, where I used to be my home casino. I didn't have, I mean, I had a line of credit with them, but also I could deposit with them. Like, let's say I hit a jackpot and I didn't want to walk out with 5,000 in my pocket or something. I could walk up to the cashier and they would do a deposit into my account and then I could transfer it back and forth. Does Royal offer something like that to where we don't even have to pay duties on cash or claim it?
You know, there are some issues around how much physical cash you can take off. So as a result, their cage is more than capable of turning cash that they can verify you've won into a cashier's check, into a wire transfer, into all those normal land-based things that you can do. And while it's not something I've ever been inclined to do, the other thing you can do is you can suppose you weren't, let's take the gambling out of it. Let's take the gambling to the side. You could just say, I'm giving my son and daughter a cruise and I'm paying all their expenses on the cruise. Royal Caribbean here up front is $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 for them to spend on the cruise. And then on the cruise ship, they could buy the photo package and they could buy this bungalow over the water at Coco Cay, and they could spend through 10 grand. And there's not going to be a bill at the end. The question to this is, do you want to prepay some things and spend against it on board and have the balance refunded to the point of payment? Or do you want to have things charged at the end? And I personally would always like to have my stuff charged at the end in the hope that I pay part of it off on the ship with winnings before I get off. But to get back to the gambling part of it, how you spend that money doesn't matter. Whether you spend it on a bungalow over the water or as a charge at the table to take chips, it's still a charge against your account. And if you preloaded your account, then that money's available for whatever you want to spend it for.
Thank you. Sorry to keep asking questions.
No. That's why we're doing this, because those are all great questions, and I didn't think of any of them. And a whole bunch of people that listen to this are going to be thrilled that you asked that question.
Yeah, you're not alone. I know, I have a lot of charges on my room because I was using the Royal Caribbean card, which I got extra points for future cruises. And there were other people in our group that was doing the exact same thing like you described. Hey, I'm getting extra cash back because of that credit card. They're not charging me that convenience fee. And so you're making a little bit of money just by using their services.
And they have a very small advantage to begin with, so there's a little bit of offset there.
He was asking about the bankroll. I'm curious about the time rule, because you said the casino's not open necessarily all the time. Did anybody run into any issues with time on the tables? Did they close them down on you, or how does that work?
Honestly, it's taken me a little getting used to, but I almost like it better this way. And so in terms of what I'm used to, it is not uncommon for me to get up if we're at Flamingo in Las Vegas. It's not uncommon for me to get up, not be able to get back to sleep, know that Mrs. and I are going to go to brunch at 10:45 and then go to the pool, and I'll shower up and leave her a note and make sure I never leave that physical casino and wander away, but I'll go down and play. I love, not so much now they build everything up, but you used to be able to sit at a set of tables at Flamingo and look right out through the air curtains, which are this big archway right out at the fountains at Caesar's Palace. It was a great place to play in the morning. It was really quiet. It was really tranquil. Also not uncommon if we're getting ready to go out to dinner or a show for me to get cleaned up first or leave the pool a little early and do that. And that is not possible on a cruise ship if you're in a port. If you're in port, almost all cases, other than a few exceptions, the casino is closed. And if you're in port in particular, the casino isn't going to open till you leave. And even if you have to get into international waters, and even if the casino is open, that just means the slots are on, but that doesn't necessarily mean the tables are open. That is one advantage of being with this group, is that the tables were opened longer for us because we were going to use them. But I like having less time available. They're very good about, if you're playing, they're going to keep the tables open. Casino always has a posted schedule of when it opens, but the closing time is always listed as late because they really just gauge demand. And yes, if you're playing $5 hands at the single deck 6 to 5 blackjack table and you're the last person in the casino, other than the dealer and the pit boss, they're probably going to push you along. But I imagine if you're playing $100 a hand blackjack, until international law says they have to close the table, they are going to keep dealing to you until you're ready to be done, whatever that is. The other thing I can't prove, but that I observe to be true, is that the casino knows they're not open 24/7. So when they evaluate your comps in terms of what they want, what you need to, they're not going to say, well, you didn't play 6 hours a day, so I don't know if I want to comp you the next cruise, the way a land-based casino might. Because, if you're at a lower level of play, saying you need to do 6 hours at a land-based casino where you can play 24 hours a day, well, it's 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, 2 hours at night. Well, because that's not an option, they can't and don't really expect you to get that level of play. They're looking for, once again, by observation, not by mathematical fact, but they're looking for a couple hours. You put that in before the show, or you put that in after the show, or on a day at sea, maybe you do a session after the pool before dinner and another session after dinner before the show. It doesn't really seem to be a problem. I'm happy with the gamble life balance, if you will, of cruising. I do all these other things when the casino's closed. And then I do the things I would normally do on a work day. I'm done at the pool instead of at the client, and it's not time for dinner. And so I go spend a little time in the casino. Or if we were in Vegas or Atlantic City, we'd go to a dinner, a nice dinner, which we do. We'd go to a show, a nice show, and then we'd go play a couple hours, maybe more if things go well.
So does it feel like it's pretty easy to get a comped cruise out of the play you're able to get, or how does that work?
Look, in 10 years, I may be wrong about all of this, and things change. But since I went on my first comped cruise, I've had more comped cruises available to me than I possibly have time to take.
Wow.
Now, maybe that's all. Now, if I lived like Casino 1 and Casino 2 would never see me if I could get to a port in the same time that I can get to them. Because instead of going, hey, honey, we don't have anything going on next weekend, do you want to go down to Casino 1 for a couple nights? It'd just be, hey, honey, we don't have anything going on. I see that this ship and this ship are getting ready to sail out of port such and such, and there's a little availability. Do you just want to go down to Nassau and Coco Cay? I would just, we have so many comped cruise offers, and now I'm getting offers both for Port Liberty, which is northern New Jersey, New York, right by the Statue of Liberty, and Baltimore, to a variety of nice places. I'm driving as often as Mrs. TRG says the schedule will allow. I'm driving to Atlantic City, spending a day or two, and getting on a comped cruise and going and exploring these places. It's way easier than flying there. It's way cheaper than flying there. Drive over, stay at one of any of the places where Compton, Atlantic City, drive up, got to pay for parking. Parking's a little pricey. You're going to pay $20, whatever it is, $30 a day for parking. But other than gas and tolls, I'm going to go to Bermuda once a year. I'm legit going to go to Bermuda once a year. The only trick, if you're playing at that, remind me to come back to this thought, and let me finish the first thought, and then I'm going to come back to this because I really want to make this illustration. And I'm not going to call anybody out, but I want to make this illustration. The only trick to finish the first thought is get on your first Royal Caribbean cruise. Comped, discounted by, if you ever get a certificate Like I know Ocean gives a certificate, I think, when you go from tier 1 to tier 2. If you ever get like any cruise certificate from any casino, obviously I'd like you to do it with me and I'd like you to do it with Premier Casino Hosting. But if that's not the good fit for you, I know another guy and another guy and another gal who will take that certificate, which may just be for an interior cabin for a 3-day cruise, and they'll leverage that into any number of a variety of nice cruises. Somebody, and I don't remember who, but somebody in our squad came to Premier Casino Hosting and said, can you turn this into something on Royal for me? And they said, we'll need to talk about where you want to go, but the short answer is yes, absolutely. And he said, okay, well, I'll send you the certificate. And they were like, no, go ahead and use the certificate with something else. They don't even need to collect the certificate. Get on once, play at a reasonable level, and all the evidence suggests, what's happened with Equine Ensign suggests, that you're going to get plenty of cruise offers. Let me come back to that second thought. One quick sip. Level of play. Obviously, the higher your level of play, the better your comp offers are going to be. They can be interior. They can be ocean view. They can be balcony, not ocean view on Royal. They can be balcony ocean view, extra large balcony ocean view, junior suite, grand suite, penthouse suite, blah, 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 blah. Those can all be comped. I've never had a comp offer for anything other than an extra large balcony, but I've never had one for anything less than a balcony. Or I've had them, but I haven't taken them. But level of play within the group. And I don't know everybody's comp status, and I don't know what deal everybody made. And that's none of my business. But there were people that I watched consistently that they've been on every dice cruise. They're great players. They're great people to hang around with. And their open bet is table minimum 6 and a table minimum 8. $24. Or there's another guy. He always is about a $24 8. One bet, turns it off a lot, takes it back down, leaves for the rest of a shooter. Royal's really good at tracking that. Royal's not giving him any points for that. He's not playing some scammy game. Royal's really good about if you walk away, they clock you out. My point is to say that please don't think, I saw people that were $500 or I guess 7. I can't do the count. Anyway, they were $2,200 inside on a craps table, all purple and black chips. And I'm sure their comp is much better than the comp for the person who's a $12 6 and a $12 8. That's normal. But I think that those other players are also being accommodated. And what Michael and Don and Eric have told you on this air is true. It's true from what I've seen with them, and it's true in my private discussions with them. They do everything they can to get every player qualified and on the ship that has a reasonable chance of being qualified and on the ship. I do not feel my play justifies the level of comps I get. And the last 2 times, Michael has just said, because I've come to him and I've gone like, Mrs. TRG has this coupon and I've got this coupon and we've got this. And if we did this, maybe you could get us ocean. And the last 2 times he's been like, let's just ask based on the relationship. Let's not worry about mixing and matching coupons. Let's just ask based on the relationship you have with them. And every time the answers come back is you're all set, you're on the ship you wanted, you're in the room you wanted. My experience suggests comps are readily available with a reasonable level of play. and perhaps a more modest level of play than you really think. I'd say come find out. That'd be my thing. I'd say come find out. And if you're not on a dice cruise, then you can start to look at some of the play all day strategies and stuff. Start to look at some of the roulette strategies that are not intended to win. They're intended to generate points. And I'm not saying just play for points. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there are ways to spend time on games that's not intended to win. It's intended to generate another cruise. And then the last night you win. Go ahead.
Use the word modest amount or a decent amount. Any chance, excuse me, any chance you put a number on that?
I could provide a little detail on that. A lot of people will figure out what a cruise is going to cost them and their, cruise person, whether that be a spouse or a buddy. And they'll take that dollar amount and be willing to spend, and unfortunately sometimes in their mindset lose all that amount in the casino. But then they will typically then be able to generate enough points so that they're going to get that next free cruise. And so you're kind of paying for that first cruise once, and then you can play the game and keep on getting those free cruises, but you're spending, somewhat of a bankroll. So, you might think of $1,000 per person, depending on what other extra stuff then you buy on top of that. But it also depends on your level of play. For a dice cruise and how you're playing really dictates, what your level is for how much you're betting. But, that's what some people look at is say, okay, this is going to cost me this, but if I play this, I should be able to get that next free cruise. They do it again, and they can get that next free cruise.
Do you think that number, like you said, how do I word that? Like if I'm starting a relationship with a new casino, you think that number is about the same, you think? Like $1,000? I mean, bare minimum. I'm just saying, like, because I'm more of a red and green chip. I haven't dove into the black chip part of things, and not just on a craps cruise, but I'm just saying in general, since we're all here. I mean, you guys do this more and more than I do. I don't want to embarrass. Not embarrass, I guess that's the wrong word, but I just don't want to let someone down if they're going to be my host as well. Either it's on a cruise, in a new casino, and I don't mind paying up front, but does that any of that make sense?
It all makes sense. It's all a great question. It's all one of those things everybody wrestles with. I don't think I'd try to make $1,000 work on a 7-day cruise without having some backup money.
Yeah, right. I know.
But if I'm the only person playing, or if the person with me is playing sparingly or not with my money, 1,000 on a 3-night or a 4-night cruise, that's not hugely out of whack. These casinos are not expecting what I consider big play. I play every 4, 5, 6 weeks. I drive up to that MGM property that's a few hours away. The money I see thrown around there by little old Greek women is huge compared to the action I see most of the time in a Royal Caribbean casino. Yeah, look, there's always a guy or two here, a guy or two there, a lady or two here, a lady or two there that is playing black chips on a $15 table, playing 100, 200, 300 a hand. Sometimes I am that guy. But that's few and far between in my experience, particularly without a dice group there, to see that level of play. It is much more common it's much more common for me to be, and Mrs. TRG and I to be the big players on a $15 table, and she's making bets between 25 and 50. And there's lots of people on that table that are between 15 and 25. People are getting comped off of action that starts out at 12 and 12. You can play a lot of, assuming there's people to play with, you can play a lot of craps with $1,000 with a starting wager of $12.08 and $12.06. That's a $25 blackjack wager. $15 table wagers between 15 and 45. It's an average wager above $25. I would expect, I'd be surprised if that isn't fine.
Hey, can I chime in, TRG?
Please, please, please.
Hey, this is Equine Ensign. I'm going to go back to VCPD and also what CK was saying. TRG had mentioned about that matching of offers to Royal Caribbean. I had used my Caesar status to match at Hard Rock, to match for the high level at Ocean, because I was at the craps table about 2 a.m. one night, and someone was on a junket and told me they were down there to do the match for the free cruise. So I was like, what are you talking about? Ocean does free cruises with MCS. So I went down there, did the matching, got my free MCS cruise. I reached out to my host, Michael, over at Premier Casino Host, and said, hey, can you match this offer I have at Ocean with a Royal Caribbean cruise? And he said, yep. Just tell me the cruise you want to go on. And I got on that first Royal Caribbean cruise. I had never cruised before, always wanted to. And heck, if I can do it for free and hopefully earn a free cruise on there, why not? So Michael was able to match another offer from another cruise line to Royal Caribbean for me. Now, when I was on Royal Caribbean, I didn't know all these offers TRG talked about that I would get in the mail after my cruise. I could cruise, every week if I want to right now, for the most part. So what I did, I was trying to earn that free cruise on a cruise. If you get so many points on the cruise, you earn certain free cruises. And they have QR codes there that you can scan to say, if I get 1,000 points, this is what you get. You get 1,500 points. This is what you get. So from listening to different podcasts, different YouTube channels, on a craps table, your average bet is about how many points you earn per hour for the most part. So you can kind of gauge how many points you're earning per hour playing craps. I kind of found on roulette, you can take your average bet and multiply it by 2.5 or 3, and that will be the number of points per hour you're going to get. So like TRG said, if you can kind of find that, hedging system, that play all day type of roulette or crap system, you can play it at a higher level and you can earn more of those points to get your free cruise. And how we said earlier, I forget who said it about prepaying for that free cruise with that next free cruise with your gambling money. So you can look at it that way too. Like if I'm going to go on my next cruise and like you said, it'll be $1,000. Well, my gambling budget's $1,000. So if you do lose some money, you kind of prepaid for your next cruise or your next 5 cruises because you're going to get lots of offers. So that's kind of how I did my matching, and I worked for that free cruise on the cruise, but I'll tell you, I'm not going to work for that free cruise on the next cruise because I know just my gambling will get me all these offers I never got before. Does that make sense, VCPD?
Yes. Yes, it does.
All right. And CK, you talked about like what kind of budget. I honestly think you could do it with $1,000 or even less if you play the right style, you play the right system. I think if you're playing that system that's just going to grind, slow wins, slow losses, you can be at the table for a while and you can get those free offers coming in. I do know of a squad member here who went on a cruise. It was a family cruise. didn't get a lot of gambling time in, and I want to say earned 300 of the Royal Caribbean points. And he gets the buy one, get one offers. Not like the offers we get are for 2 people on the ship, but he's getting a pay for one, get one free offer. And that was for only earning about 300 points on the cruise. But I think, if you're a green chip better at the craps table, got a couple green chips out there on a hedging type of system, $1,000 is more than enough. Doing like a play all day type of system. I think that'll get you a free cruise, and you might even make money if you lose a little. But that's all I wanted to say. I hope it all made sense.
And to put that in perspective, I was playing a couple hours a day most days, a little longer sometimes when things went well. And he was saying the whole cruise was 300 points. I was averaging 250, 300 points a day. So I was playing a little more. And that just kind of put that sense of 300 for a cruise, 300. Where did that kind of fit in? Probably didn't get to 300 a day most days, but earning at a little higher level than that.
And
any other questions?
Real quick, I was going to say also, if you can tip along the way and you talk to the pit boss, go, hey, what's my average bet? And throw out there, you're trying to earn that free cruise. The right pit boss remembers that. And they'll try to help you out some, but always ask what your average bet is. Some pit bosses are better than others. And if you can go to that right pit boss, you'll be a little better off.
That is expert advice. That is 100% expert advice from Equine Ensign. No doubt about it.
Shaq here, spinning fast-acting pain relief with Icy Hot. Ice works fast, heat makes it last. Icy Hot, you're so back.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Okay.
We're out of questions.
Yep. I was going to say, anything else we got? All right. Well, that looks about right. Hour and 15 minutes-ish. That looks about right. I do want to thank everybody once again. The quality of the questions indicates to me that there's going to be people out there that are going to appreciate us having this conversation and putting it out for them to listen to. I am going to let VCPD wrap it up. And if you want to stick around, we are going to do a quick TRG after dark, some things that I don't want to say to the public forever, but just to share a little extra within the group perspective that I think might be valuable.
All right. Well, thank you for everyone who participated in this roundtable. I'm VCPD, and I want to remind you to please tip your waitresses, tip your bartenders, tip your dealers. If you have a host, tip your host, but please don't tip away your wins. We have spoken. Everything you've heard is true from a certain point of view. In 10 years, we may find out we were wrong about all of this. It's time for leaving, and I hope you understand TRG was born a rambling man. Love it, hate it, it don't matter. Please share with your family and friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening. The best part of the podcast is next, the Casino Combat Blues.
For Atlantic City Empress, Casino Combat's ace.
There are profits in the casino tonight, I can feel it in my bones. I had a premonition, you should probably play alone. I know the house has an advantage, but that's part of the thrill. If we follow the core concepts, the chips begin to spill. So baby, here's your player's card, put your bankroll in your hand. Use just some of that money now, do it just the way we planned. Just follow the core concepts and you could win. Everybody has an alias, cause that's more fun we feel. It's the lure of winning money, it's got a very strong appeal. Perhaps you'd understand it better standing in my shoes. It's the ultimate enticement, it's the casino combat blues. Casino combat blues. Whoa. And we don't need to go away. We can gamble in Atlantic City, we can gamble in LA, we can gamble out in Vegas. I mean, we're here to stay. Gambling's propping up the budgets of folks like me and you. You ask any casino manager, he'll say there's nothing he can do. From the pockets of the casino right down to me